Who among us has never imagined themselves a hero? Who hasn't felt the desire to be noble, purposed, loyal, and above all, righteous? We idolize the examples we find, holding tight to the hope that our icons are both enlightening and real. We see what we admire, and we want it to be as material as it is fascinating. And such is the popular fascination with the samurai. Noble, principled, and loyal until death, guided by all of this towards a path that must be ultimately righteous. Let's dial in on that with one of the beloved turn-of-the-century samurai, Jack. We met Jack in 2001, and the mark he left on the world of cartoons and TV storytelling could fill hours. But there's a question we need to ask as we watch him battle his way through Aku's future to find his way home. How samurai is Jack? How much does our determined hero resemble the warriors of the past? Are his noble goals the lofty ideal we'd love to see? And is it honor that drives his quest, that makes us root for Jack, or something a little more common, or maybe even a little sneaky? Let's break this down into 3 parts. First, we'll match Jack against samurai from our world in terms of 2 of pop culture's favorite samurai benchmarks and see how they stack up. Then, we'll drive down on that important question from the beginning. How samurai is Jack? And then, once we have an answer that we can work with, we'll see how much that matters, both for Jack and for us. Now, I'm sorry to burst your collective bubbles here, but that image we carry of samurai honor, with big capital letters, is kinda crap. Not entirely, of course. We have legends that persist because a few exceptional individuals left their mark on history. But that's the key word here, exceptional. By and large, samurai, in the sense that we typically recall them, were more mercenary than defender. If they weren't attempting to conquer Japan, most samurai were tasked with putting down rebellion, or keeping order for the sake of the lord who had hired them. Their loyalties were bought and paid for, or spurred by ambition. Often, honor, in quotes, took a backseat to opportunity, intimidation, or power. For example, the famous Oda Nobunaga, a powerful warlord of the Sengoku Jidai, or Warring States era, is the same man who heroically defeated an army of tens of thousands with only 2,500, but burned a temple filled with women and children to the ground to secure a fast victory. He made great strides towards unifying a war-torn Japan, but ultimately lost his life as the result of a betrayal by one of his own samurai generals. So, how does Jack measure up here? Well, most notably, he's a hero of the common person. We're introduced to Jack as he trains to retake his home from the clutches of Aku. He's hardly one to maintain order for government, and we see him, time and again, seeding dissent and stoking upheaval. He's rebellion personified, and on top of that, his loyalty is often swayed more by the plight of the downtrodden than his own agenda. Yeah, sure, he's got goals, but how many times do we see Jack set aside his own desires for the sake of helping the vulnerable? So what's next? That's an easy one. Swords. Or rather, one particular kind. Every samurai was a badass swordsman able to cut down foes with a single strike of their mighty katana, right? Well, probably not. Again, there were exceptions. Miyamoto Musashi, anyone? But mostly, we're looking at just that, exceptions. In reality, samurai were just as capable and diverse as any other type of soldier you'd encounter today, resourceful enough to become skilled with whatever weapons were available. That included swords, spears, bows, an early firearm called an arquebus, and in a few notable instances, mounted cavalry. The short version? Samurai used a whole hell of a lot more than just swords. So, again, where do we land with Jack on this issue? Actually, this one looks a lot better for our boy Jack. Hell, the opening scene of the pilot episode alone shows him traveling the world to train with different masters in many ways of fighting. And while we can be pretty sure that most real samurai didn't circle the world to learn their craft, the spirit is there. And Jack proves it, again and again. Often when he's doing his hero thing and helping people crushed under Aku's heel, he either uses the resources he has at hand or teaches tested techniques adapted to the situation. Like when he helps the dog scientists turn their mining equipment into siege weaponry, or when he shows the jumping tribe how to set traps and fight using the fruits of their forest home. Yes, Jack has his magic sword, and yes, that's a big deal, but it's not his only weapon. He just has a favorite. Consider the episode where Jack is trapped in the Dome of Doom, and fights with everything from spear and shield to his own hair tie to get back to his sword. Now that we have our super scientific, ultra comprehensive breakdown of Jack and the history of the samurai out of the way, where does that leave us with our big question? How samurai is Jack? Well, I'm torn. We've looked at Jack and the real world in terms of our popular myths of honor, loyalty, and duty, and took a look under the hood at that whole badass swordsman thing, and honestly, he seems somewhere in the middle. Jack certainly doesn't seem to be 100% samurai, but he's nowhere near complete fiction either. He's got one foot a little bit in each camp. On the one hand, he's way more myth than man when it comes to duty and honor. Real samurai were more often motivated by personal agenda, while Jack, in true hero fashion, places the needs of the weak and vulnerable before his own. And on the other, he defies romantic legendary and provides us with a hero who's as resourceful as he is skilled. He's not just a master swordsman, as cool an image as that provides, but a master at making things work and getting the job done. And while that looks like a neat 50-50, I don't know if I'm comfortable calling it right there. So, how samurai is Jack? I'm probably going to make a lot of folks angry with this one and say that, well, I don't think Jack is really all that much of a samurai. Is he a hero? Yes. A skilled fighter and a principled warrior? Of course. A nearly unbridled force for good in a dystopian future that desperately needs him? Totally. But those cool things a samurai do not make, and that leads me nicely to my final point. Who cares if Jack is really a samurai? Sure, the story of a time-traveling samurai battling a demon wizard has so much more dramatic punch than super magic sword good guy fights baddie, but ultimately that label, samurai, is irrelevant for Jack and for us. Samurai Jack is a wonderfully crafted story. Hell, I could spend an hour on that pilot alone, but what makes the story great isn't a label, and it's not a category that Jack, or his world, fits neatly into either. It's Jack himself. It's Aku. It's future Earth and the people that live, die, fight, and thrive there that make Jack worth paying attention to. And that's okay. In fact, it's better than okay. In a work like Samurai Jack, historical accuracy, strict adherence to facts and figures from the real world, and other efforts to box a story in would only hinder the spectacle and stifle the message. Jack is a fable, pure and simple. He's a tall tale that, like any good art, warps reality to show us a better picture of ourselves. Because when we watch Jack slice through bad guys like butter, or save another band of innocents from Aku's evil, we see what we want to be. We see the things to which we aspire but can't always reach. We see goodness and bravery and hope that somehow we can emulate that ourselves. And there's a lesson there, buried in the action and the pretty pictures. A lesson about how we can't always rely on that picture in our head. Our thoughts about how we have to be. We set ideals high so that we don't fall quite so far when we fail. Then we pick ourselves up and try again. Every time, better than before. And keep going. Because to stop and to give up, that's not a choice that's on the table. So, tell me, what do you think? Does Jack fit the samurai bill, or is there more Jack than fits in that particular box? And I want to hear about your favorite samurai. Can they beat the real deal, or do tall tales really make the best heroes? Let me know down below. And that's it for me. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you next time on Toonoscopy.